Well, hello everyone. My name is Greg Reeves, Commercial Director of Connections, and welcome to ConnecTALKS, Selling the Invisible with António Paraíso. Thank you all for joining us for our virtual week, and I hope the event's going very well for you so far. And to our members who are joining us directly through the community, welcome. This session forms part of our Connections virtual event program, so it's great to see you all here. Before I introduce our guest speaker, I'd like to run through some housekeeping. I'm sure everyone's used Zoom plenty of times over the last year, but could I please remind everyone to keep themselves on mute while we do this session to avoid any disturbances. But we would like to see the cameras on because we do miss everyone's faces and it'd be great to see you and promote a bit of interaction there. During this session, please ask questions by using the chat button below. We really encourage you to be interactive, and I'll field those questions and we can present them to Antonio at the end of the session. The session will last up to 1 hour and is being recorded. So if you have colleagues or friends who might also find this session useful, we'll be distributing the recorded webinar in the coming days. Right then, I'm thrilled to be welcoming António Paraíso to host today's ConnecTALKS. An expert on all things luxury, António holds more than 30 years of sensibleness and experience in dealing with customers. Obsessive in detail, he enjoys out-of-the-box thinking and is passionate about sustainable living, as well as the world's cultural diversity. As you will see, António is an enthusiastic speaker and has spoken on the luxury market for brands like Giorgio Armani and Porsche. António joined us in 2019 at the launch of Connections Weddings and shared with us so many insightful thoughts on the luxury market that he had us discussing the topic for hours afterwards. I remember that very well, António. So we're delighted to welcome António back to help focus our attention on how to sell luxury services. So António, with great pleasure, I pass the word to you.
Thank you. Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Connections, for inviting me to be back again. It was lovely to be with you 2 years ago, about 2 years, a year and a half ago in South Italy. And it's good to be back. Thank you very much for inviting me. Thank you, everyone, for being here this morning. I hope you're all well and safe. This is the most important thing at the moment. And I'll be delighted to share with you a few insights, stories, and ideas on selling services, especially in the luxury market. So without further ado, let me share the screen and let's see if I share the screen and show you a few slides I have prepared for you this morning. Okay, I guess I'm sharing the screen now.
We can see it. Perfect.
You can see it.
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, so we're going to talk about selling the invisible. This is one of my favorite pictures and places, the Shangri-La Hotel in Sydney. What a view. Look at this. Beautiful. Now, services. According to the World Trade Organization, as you see in their webpage, services represent the fastest growing sector of the global economy, and they account for over 2/3 of global output. They also account for nearly 20% of global trade. And in value-added terms, services account for approximately half of world trade. So the services economy is increasingly important. A recent survey published at superoffice.com shows that 86% of buyers are willing to pay more for a better customer experience. And a good customer experience is more important for buyers than price or product. So we really have to take, even if you are in the tangible product business, you have to add services and experiences. And if you are in the service business, then it's all about experiences. Experiences, not products, count for luxury consumers. Not just millennials, consumers want experiences, not things. I mean, the press has been showing this increasingly important idea that in business, you really have to deliver experiences to customers if you want to engage them, if you want them to pay the price and come back. Now, experiences are services, but not all services are experiences. Now, how do you turn a service into an experience? In my opinion, this is what you should do. You turn a service into a fantastic experience with emotion, excitement, impeccable look, the look of the place where you deliver the service and the experience, the look of the people delivering the experience and interacting with the guest. By the way, in the services business and the services economy, we don't talk about clients, we talk about guests. You do it with good music, memorable scent, friendly service, sometimes not too friendly. You have to know the right level of friendliness. Some mysteries of utmost importance. Clients, guests, they want mystery, to be surprised and to be excited. Find ways to, and I'll show examples of how brands are delivering mystery. I will end with a mystery example today. But mystery is very important in your service, in your experience. Engaging stories, and if possible, zero mistakes. Now, of course, in order to sell the invisible, of course, that you have to master the basics of the art of selling. And the basics of the art of selling are, of course, trust. You have to win the trust of your guests. Ask questions. You have to know how to ask the right questions to uncover problems and opportunities. And of course, you have to know how to sell benefits instead of selling features. I will not go into depth now in this regard, but if you Google, I've done it last night just to make sure, and if you Google selling benefits versus features, you will find several articles, many texts explaining in depth how to do it. Now, customers, they really don't care about your company. They care about their own problems that you help them solve. So the benefit of solving problems, that's what people want, and that's what people buy. This is the real benefit they are looking for. It's the solution for the problem they have. Now, going in selling the invisible, going to this topic now, which is the main topic of this session. Harry Beckwith, I got inspiration from this American consultant. Harry Beckwith is an American consultant. He's an expert in services, marketing, and sales. And in his book, The Invisible Touch, he introduces the 4 variables that any client normally assesses in order to make a decision of buying a service or not. We all, as human beings, and when buying services, we all go through this unconscious process. It's really unconscious. Most of the times we don't even feel we're doing this. We go through this unconscious process of assessing 4 variables in order to make a decision. And then we decide unconsciously, whether we buy this service or not, or whether we buy this service from service provider A instead of service provider B. So as service providers, we all want to know what are these 4 variables so that we can improve them, work upon them, and make them better in our service, in our business, so that next time clients choose us instead of our competitors. So the 4 key variables service providers really need to take care are these: brand, packaging, relationships, and price. Yes, price is one of the important 4 variables, but mind you, is not the first one and is not the most important one. The most important one is brand. Brand is of utmost importance. Service providers need to invest in their brands, need to communicate them well in engaging ways, need to gain visibility, notoriety. Brands in services need to be well known. Why? Because the service is invisible. A service is invisible. People do not see what they are buying. So it's all about the brand. And the brand is, of course, much more than a logo. The brand is the essence of the business. It differentiates 2 different companies in the same sector. Without brand, in the eyes of the client, I am exactly the same as my competitor. The client doesn't see any difference if we don't have a brand. The brand is the guarantee of prestige and service quality. And the brand represents the universe that makes the client dream and desire. It creates emotional bond with our guests, our clients, our target audience, and it wins the 3 Fs. The 3 Fs are an important community. They are not clients, they don't buy, but they like our brand and they amplify our message. And they defend us when we are attacked by unhappy customers or by competitors. A brand, mainly, it builds trust, generates notoriety, and brings recommendations. So brand is, I would say, the key ingredient. And of course, not only having a logo. A brand is a logo well communicated, engagingly communicated, frequently communicated. People will hardly buy what they can't see from someone they never heard about. Think about it. This is one of the quotes I say often and I share often, because if people never heard about you, if people don't know your service, if people don't know your story and what you do, it's difficult for them to trust you to buy something they don't see. The second ingredient is packaging. Packaging is everything that one sees and feels, which is related to service. Remember, service is invisible. So people will build an opinion about what they cannot see based on what they see. I don't see the service, but I see the location where the service is delivered. I don't see the service, but I see the looks of the service provider. I see the look of the people interacting with me. I see the look of the website. I see the look of the car fleet, of the advertising material. Everything that I see, which is not the service, but is related to the service, will help me in building an opinion and eventually making the decision to buy or not buy from this company, from this service provider. So taking care of the packaging is about making tangible the intangible. I have to build a coherent and solid message altogether, because ultimately the packaging is what customer sees and will help him or her make the decision to buy from me. Couple of examples. Regardless of whether you like this decoration style or not, eventually you're more into minimalist modern decoration rather than this typical British Victorian style. Anyway, what expectations do you have about this service based on this image? I believe you will have a very high expectation. I'm positive that service in this train, in this Bellman train, is unbelievable. It's really surprising and impeccable. What expectations do you have about this service based on this image? The Armani rooftop bar in Hong Kong. Everything is in line, is in order, is aligned, is beautiful. I'm sure the service is fantastic. Not so classic as the previous example. It will be a more relaxed, modern service, but still impeccable. What expectations of service do you have based on this image of the B-bar at the Baccarat store in Milan? It's painting on the ceiling. There is art, there is beauty. Everything is clean, aligned. I'm sure the service is fantastic with a touch of Italian dolce vita. So taking care of the packaging is a must, especially if you are in services, because it's all about making tangible the intangible. And remember, clients will always build an opinion about what they cannot see based on what they see and feel. The third ingredient or variable is relationships. Selling services is about the art of networking, is about socializing on a regular basis to create emotional bonds with the market. Of course, we're living difficult times where socializing and networking is impossible in the ways we used to do it. Now we have to get used to socialize and network online. And that's where Connections is doing a fantastic job in organizing networking sessions and online so that people can keep in touch. But soon we will go back to the socializing way we were used to. And this is so important because socializing and networking is important to, to tell stories, storytelling to engage the imagination of the target audience in order to shape the process so that the client wants to buy. And this is a very important point here. In luxury, the luxury process is different from mass market. In mass market, brands push the sale. Brands go to the client and tell the client, please buy from me. That's what you see in shopping malls and supermarkets. Now in luxury, the process is different. The brands do not approach customers. The brands, they do a fantastic job in shaping the process, in preparing the process, in taking care of the atmosphere and environment so that the client will be engaged and will come to the brand and say, I want to buy. So, and when the brand approaches the customer in mass market, the customer says, hey, you want me to buy from you, so you have to make a special price. You have to make a discount. But in luxury, it is different. The brand is not so vulnerable because that's the client who approaches the brand and says, I want to buy. And if the client approaches the brand and says, I want to buy, there's no discount. So building a full environment where the client feels enchantment is where the client feels magic is very important. Customization is also important to make the client feel unique. So frequent, genuine networking activities, not focused on selling. That's what relationships is all about. One of the quotes I say often is this one. I woke up one morning inspired and I came up with this. In the luxury universe, you don't do marketing. You interact and engage. You don't attract customers. You seduce them. It's a totally different process. You don't show your products. You create an experience, and you don't sell. You tell stories. And if you interact and engage, if you seduce, if you create experiences and tell stories, believe me, you don't have to approach the customer. The customer will approach you. Finally, price. Price is an important ingredient in that the customer unconsciously assesses in order to make a decision to buy. So the price level transmits perception of quality, of course. Price should always mirror the value of the solution. And price includes the cost of producing and delivering the service, but price also reflects and includes the symbolic value, the creativity and aesthetics. That intangible component, which is impossible to compare. And that's where you differentiate from your competitors. Your competitors can copy the tangible part of your service. They can hire architects and interiors designers to make the location beautiful. But your competitors cannot copy your symbolic value, your creativity. Make sure the price has a lot of filling before you communicate it. This is one of the mistakes people do. They communicate prices without filling it. Price has to be filled with benefits, with stories, enchantment, engagement, symbology. Price has an intangible part and a tangible part. Normally in luxury, the intangible part is bigger than the tangible part. So make sure you communicate it so that the price is well filled and the customer and the guest understands that it is worth paying your price because the service will be amazing. Price is expensive when there is not enough value. So you make sure you communicate the value, the tangible value and the intangible value. You have to communicate both so that the customer and guest feels that price is not expensive. Price can be high and still not expensive. Price can be low and expensive. Being expensive is not related to high prices. It is related to having value or not. Think about it. So brand, packaging, relationships, and price. Brand and packaging are ingredients related to marketing. Relationships and price are ingredients related to sales. So selling services is all about marketing and sales combined. You really have to, it's very difficult to sell services with sales actions only. You have to combine marketing and sales in order to be successful in selling services. And in selling luxury services, it's really more about the subtle combination of perfect tangibility and seductive intangibility. What do I mean with that? I mean that in luxury, everything which is tangible has to be close to perfection. The location, the looks of the people dealing with the customers, everything which the customer sees has to be beautiful and perfect. But then you have to add a lot of seductive intangibility. And I will explain in a moment what that is. This is the tangible part. When you organize a party, when you organize a wedding, when you organize your hotel, your location to welcome guests, everything which is tangible has to be absolutely stunning. But then you have to take care of the intangible part. And I have created a methodology. One morning I woke up inspired and I created what I call the intangible universe. And I created this image. And your brand has to think about purpose. What is the purpose of your business? And purpose is way more than just making money. Of course, it's important to make money, but think, why is your business in the market? Why are you in business other than making money? That's your purpose. Your company and your brand needs to build values. Like values are sustainability, fighting against discrimination, taking care of the planet, building values around a better world. Whatever the values you feel are important, you have to encrypt them in your business. Mr. Ralph Lauren himself has funded a foundation to research breast cancer treatment. That's one of the values of the brand Ralph Lauren. Gucci and the Caring Group are very active in fighting discrimination and violence against women. So sustainability. Yesterday, I was talking to one of my clients here in Lisbon, and we were talking about sponsoring a car race, a Lamborghini trophy. And I was telling my client, because at the moment I'm consulting one of the pilots racing in the Lamborghini trophy. And I was telling my client, you should sponsor this pilot, because if you sponsor this pilot, my client, during 1 year, your brand will be exposed to the Lamborghini community worldwide. And this will bring you business for sure. And my client told me, Antonio, you're right. This would be a fantastic opportunity. But in our sustainability policy, we are against pollution. So it is not coherent for my brand to sponsor a car race. So that's what values are. Then themes. Themes are related to gastronomy, are related to literature, culture, art, whatever theme you find freedom, whatever theme you want to relate your brand with and build upon that. You have to tell stories, many stories. You have to add symbology to your brand. Symbology has to do, for instance, with I'm consulting a brand at the moment, and one of the symbologies I'm adding is Greek gods. I'm building the brand of my client around Greek gods because it's a men's brand, and I want our clients to feel like Greek gods. So it's not about the quality. Of course, the cotton is fantastic. Of course, the production is of very high quality, but my client needs to feel like he's a Greek god in order to wear this brand. So you have to add symbology related to whatever symbology you find appropriate, and you must add history as well. So history, purpose, values, themes, stories, symbology, art, literature, gastronomy, sports, whatever. There's a champagne brand, BK, Berlin-Koff, and this is the champagne of the millionaires. And they organize every year. They invented a sport. Look at this. A champagne brand invented a sport, snow golf, playing golf in the snow. And millionaires around the world, they gather once a year in Switzerland to play golf in the snow. And this is a tournament organized by a champagne brand for millionaires. So sports, art, culture, literature, gastronomy, whatever theme, symbology, stories are important for your brand, relate to them, build upon them, and you have to build your own intangible universe, which will be different from the intangible universe of your competitor, if he or she has one. In luxury services, customer-centric culture is key. Of course, performed by a true customer-centric team. Charming staff are the true brand ambassadors. Now, I have written an article a while ago about charm. You can find it in my blog. I believe that charm is very important in luxury, especially in selling and delivering luxury services. So I took some time to think about charm and what is charm. And slowly, I came up with my own definition of charm. And I wrote an article about it. And these are, in my opinion, the main ingredients of charm: instinct, authenticity, effortless passion, opinion, sobriety, savoir-faire, whatever that means, conviction, impeccable look, genuine kindness, eloquence, integrity, and elegance. Charm cannot be measured, it cannot be copied by competition, and it cannot be purchased. You have to build it. The right level of tangible and intangible charm will seduce customers, add value to your business, and improve your sales. Now, let me share a couple of examples to end. I'm another 5 to 7 minutes and I'm finished and ready for questions. Stimulating the senses is so important in luxury services. Look at this fantastic example. El Celler de Can Roca in Barcelona area is in one of the best restaurants in the world. It's run by three siblings, three brothers, and they prepare dessert, fragrance desserts. So you can choose your Bulgari mousse au chocolat. You can choose your Lanvin or Guerlain crème brûlée. You can choose your Lancôme Chantilly topping. Look, this is absolutely out of this world. How did they come with this incredible idea of preparing fragranced dessert with the favorite fragrance of the client. This is the intangible part, which will make, I mean, a normal mousse of chocolat in any restaurant will cost so much. A fragrance mousse of chocolat will cost 4 or 5 times as much. That's the intangible part in the price I told you about in a moment ago. Now, the Six Senses Spa, they have a network of, they have a chain of spas around the world. The Lamu Spa in the Maldives has been voted one of the best in the world. And they have many packages, different programs. You go to the spa and you have a spa menu where you can order the service of your preference. But the really special package is the Six Senses service. And the Six Senses service is a special service they have where they say they stimulate simultaneously the 5 senses of the client, the 5 senses of the human being: sight, hearing, smell, touch, and flavor. And they say when they stimulate the 5 senses of the customer, of the guest, simultaneously, the guest feels the 6th sense, which is a feeling impossible to describe. How much does this package can cost? I mean, the client will pay. If you address the right client, don't waste time trying to sell to the wrong client. If you address the right client will pay whatever you ask to feel this impossible to describe feeling of the 6th sense. Last Sunday, Cartier is not a service brand, but anyway, I bring this recent example. I attended last Sunday the Cartier Art Dialogues. They made this online. They made this conference online, Art Dialogues. Cartier organized a session online discussing art, and they invited museum directors, painters, sculptors, architects, dancers, ballet, classical ballet dancers, choreographers, sculptors, all types of artists to discuss art. They didn't talk about products. They didn't try to sell anything to anyone. It was just Cartier building strong association with art to build and strengthen the intangible universe around the brand Cartier. And art and culture is what makes the customer then buy a Cartier product. Because it's not just a product, it's a product which is related to art and culture and has a strong symbolic and intangible value. It was a fantastic discussion. By the way, if you Google Cartier Art Dialogues, you will find the website, and the recording is there. It's a 4-hour video. It was a beautiful 4-hour session. And finally, oops, I have to move forward. How do I move forward? Yes. Armani is building intangibility with bars and hotels. L'Oreal has built their own social network for customers and fans. Lancome is offering online advice on skincare and cosmetics to build connections with and engaging customers. And the final example I would like to share with you is this fantastic one. Grant Arschatz is an American 3 Michelin star chef at the Alinea restaurant in Chicago. And There are many videos. Go on YouTube and look for the Alinea restaurant videos. I will show you a 2-minute one, a very short one, where the chef himself comes to the table to greet guests and prepare himself dessert. Let's see how Chef Grant Achatz prepares dessert for the guests. By the way, they prepare it on a special tablecloth, which is clean and prepared to receive food on the tablecloth.
What is it?
They are painting Miro-style designs on the table with chocolate mousse, fruit jam,
A reduction of orange.
reduction of orange. They paint on the cloth. It looks like Miro. They have these huge balls of chocolate in the center of the table. This is Grant Achatz himself painting for the clients with strawberry jam.
Blind coach pair.
And malted brownie.
Melted brownie.
And the dark chocolate pinatas.
Clients under strong emotional status buy more, spend more, and are happier. Thank you very much. Now, Greg, I hand over to you for questions and wrap up. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Antonio. Wow, so much to take in that session. I think that was 40 minutes and my head's going to explode with all that information. So thank you so much for sharing. And thanks to those that have sent questions through, some amazing questions here. So I'm going to read a couple of them out. If anyone has any other questions, we might have time, so do pop them over to me. So Antonio, if you're ready, this one I find very interesting. What is the main mistake that you see often when companies and professionals try selling the invisible?
I see that mistake quite often, mind you. And in my opinion is many people in the service business, they still try to sell services using the typical classical sales techniques of selling tangible goods. They don't try, and maybe because they don't know, they don't try to learn the specific methodologies and techniques of selling the intangible. So they try to highlight to the customer. Well, first of all, I see many service providers, especially in the upper end of the market, still pushing the sale. Don't push the sale. That's supermarket and shopping mall. Luxury attracts customers, seduces customers, doesn't approach customers. And this is another mistake. And I see also many service brands not delivering enough intangibility, enough the intangible universe. And I see them basing their sale on the tangible aspects on which the customer can see. But don't show what the customer can see. Make the customer feel what he cannot see. In my opinion, that's the main mistakes.
Fantastic. I've just had an interesting question in from Rubel. Rubel, I hope you don't mind me mentioning that it was from you, but the interesting question is, customers in countries like India believe in brand prominence and displaying flashy logos, for example. Is there a different strategy to sell luxury services in the East when compared to the West?
Well, of course, it's called cultural adaptation. I would say it's not only for luxury, it's for anything. Before being a consultant, I worked 20 years in the fashion industry as a sales manager. And I had clients worldwide in the 5 continents. I traveled very frequently around 50 countries. I did business in 50 countries in the 5 continents. And I had to adapt my sales approach to the culture of my clients. I mean, selling to Americans is so different than selling to Japanese. So, of course, if you're, depending on the region of the world you are doing business, you have to adapt to the culture. You have to learn the culture of your clients and guests and adapt. In some regions of the world, they pay more attention to the tangible part of the business rather than the intangible. In some other parts of the world, they pay more attention to the intangible part. You have to try and understand. That's why it's important to ask questions. I told you before. So ask questions, try to understand, research, and try to understand what is more important for your customer. Is it the tangible part or the intangible part? And build on that. In the Middle East and in Asia, yes, color and flashy logos are important. In Europe are not so important. I mean, in Brazil, if you go to the best nightclubs, if you order the most expensive champagne, they will bring fireworks and girls dancing in bikini. I mean, I would never want, if I order champagne, I don't want anyone to see. But I'm European. Latin Americans feel differently. They want to show. They want everybody. So you have to, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's culture. You have to understand that people feel differently in different countries according to their culture, and you have to adapt.
And Amit's asking your thoughts on stealth luxury. So some brands have very quiet social media, for example, as they feel it's more exclusive and it's not catered towards the mass luxury market as such.
That's right.
Yeah.
It depends
on
that. To be honest, since I have studied luxury 12, 15 years ago, I can't remember, quite a few time ago, I studied luxury brand management. And since then, I'm a true believer in the true luxury. Luxury has been evolving a lot. Sometimes people call luxury to brands and services and products which are not luxurious at all, in my opinion. For instance, picking a very recent example, LVMH Group, which is the owner of Louis Vuitton and another 70 luxury brands, Moët & Chandon and the like. LVMH Group, they bought this week a 50% stake in a champagne brand founded by a rapper singer in the US, Jay-Z. It's the champagne of the rappers. I don't like it. I think it was a wrong move. But who am I to say to Mr. Bernard Arnault that he is wrong? I'm just curious to see how this will turn out. I mean, LVMH brand 2 years ago invested in the fashion brand of Rihanna. And last week, they decided to close the business. So it was not a very good move to invest in a fashion brand of a pop singer. So, I mean, and they call it luxury. I don't call it luxury. So for me, true luxury should be very cautious in using social networks. I mean, it's impossible to avoid digital. Digital is part of the world we live. So luxury brands will have to adapt to digital and learn how to use digital, but they have to be very cautious. A good example is Bottega Veneta, a luxury Italian brand. They decided to close their profiles and all social networks. They closed. They're not on social networks anymore. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, closed. And they're using other techniques to communicate because they don't want to be mass. They don't want to communicate to the influencers and to the mass market. They have other techniques to address their audience. So I think that digital social networks, videos, technology, augmented reality, virtual reality, and the like has to be used very cautiously, mainly to build the dream, not to sell.
Right.
Okay.
António, I must say, we are having so many questions that are coming in that we're never going to get through all of them. I think we've got time for one more before we need to wrap up the session. But for those
one or two is fine. One or two.
Fantastic.
But people can.
I know we don't have time. We have some good news at the end of the session.
But I'll be more than happy to talk to everyone online, if on LinkedIn, or send me messages, emails. My email is in my website, antonioparaíso.com. So send me an email, drop me a line on LinkedIn. I'll be happy to interact.
Thanks, António. I don't know, Gemma, if you have a moment just to pop those details in the chat. So Shigeki is asking, Shigeki, I hope you're well. He's asking, how would you train a team to develop their charm?
Oh, not in a 3-hour session. Well, first of all, a while ago, I have been interviewed here in Portugal by a marketing magazine, and they published, I said many things during the interview, but the journalist picked for the title one of the sentences I said. And back then I was a little bit misunderstood. And then people were talking on social networks about it. I said, and it was the title of the interview, luxury is not for everyone. And I truly believe that. I mean, luxury is not for everyone because luxury is about having the right mindset. You can have all the money, you can train, you can build beautiful, fantastic training programs. Some people will never get it because they do not have the right mindset, the right background. So I would say that training charm, before that, you have to pick to recruit the right people for your team. Once you have recruited the right people for your team, so I mean, hard skills are not enough. You have to recruit soft skills and have the right balance. I mean, some experts, they say you should recruit the soft skills and train the hard skills. So first of all, if you have the right people with the right mindset and background, then it is easier to train them on a daily basis. The Luxury Institute in New York, with whom I have contact and collaborations from times to times. Last time I was in New York, I had lunch with the president of the Luxury Institute, and we were discussing this. And they have built a 7-step methodology for a company to build with their staff a culture, a luxury culture mindset. And you have to follow, you have to train them on a daily basis. It's not a 3-hour or 7-hour training program. I would say it's on a regular, pick the right people with the right mindset, with the right cultural background, and then train them on a daily basis. It's a non-stop process.
Thank you, Antonio. Thank you so much. So unfortunately, we're going to have to leave it there. I think we could keep talking for another hour at least. But we have people on the call that have meetings to attend. So
of course,
we're going to wrap up there, Antonio. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for having me.
No problem at all. And
thank you, everyone.
Everybody who's part of the Connections community and on our platform, we have some fantastic news, and that's Antonio is on there as a mentor, and you're welcome to reach out to him directly through the platform. If you're not a Connections community member, do get in touch with a member of the team, and we can provide details on how to gain access. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for being such good sport, for all the questions and for the engagement. It's very much appreciated. So this marks the end of the session.